Latham HB.5. The Latham HB.5 was a French biplane flying boat with 4 engines in push-pull configuration pairs. 10 were used by the French Navy. Design and development. Despite its military designation as an HB-5 or 5-crew flying boat bomber, this 4-engine aircraft was designed as a civil version of the Latham trimotor of 1919. The main design change was to move from 3 engines to 4 whilst retaining a total power of about 750 kW 1000 HP. Its original Latham type number is not known. It was a large biplane with unequal span wings of high aspect ratio for the day. In plan, the wings, mounted with very slight stagger, were rectangular out to straight angle tips. There were 3 parts: a central section attached to the upper hull which contained the engines and had no dihedral, and outer sections with about 2 deg of dihedral. Each outer section was divided into 2 bays with 3 vertical pairs of interplane struts, the innermost at the junction with the central section. Outboard, the overhangs of the upper wing were supported by outward-leaning pairs of struts from the feet of the outer interplane pairs. Below these points, flat-bottomed floats which provided lateral stability on water were mounted on short struts. The upper center section was supported over the fuselage with a pair of transverse pair of inverted V-struts. Balanced, short-span, broad-chord ailerons were mounted at the tips of the upper wing only. The HB.5's 4 water-cooled 9-cylinder Salmson 9Z radial engines were mounted as push-pull pairs, with each pair sharing a single nacelle placed midway between the center section wings on a frame of horizontal members and diagonal struts, tied to the inner interplane struts and the center section V-struts. The 3.40 m 11.2 ft interplane gap allowed the rear propellers to turn between the wings. The tractor pairs were just ahead of the wing leading edge. 1000 L 220 imp gal, 260 US gal of fuel was equally distributed between 4 fuselage tanks. The hull of the HB.5 was 17 m 56 ft long and had a maximum width of 2.80 m 9.2 ft. The forward planing hull had soft chine, ending at a single step under the wings. Entirely mahogany covered, the hull was divided internally into 7 compartments. The bow compartment contained mooring gear, and the pilot and co-pilot sat side by side in an open cockpit in the second. The flight engineer sat in another open cockpit in the 3rd compartment, just behind the pilots. The 4th compartment contained the passenger cabin, luxuriously furnished for 10 passengers and provided 2 large, glazed portholes for viewing. Cabin access was via a starboard side gangplank and the engineer's position. Their baggage, together with sacks of air mail, was stored in the 6th compartment and the wireless operator housed in the 7th. The hull became slender towards the rear and curved upwards to support a biplane, constant chord horizontal tail with balanced elevators on its upper and lower planes. Between the planes were 3 fins, each carrying a rudder. Their trapezoidal shape allowed for elevator movement. Operational history. The HB.5 first flew on 2 July 1921. 10 were bought by the French Navy. Rather little is known about their activities, though in 1923 they took part in torpedo-dropping trials. Because of their flying boat hull, they could not carry the weapon in the normal central position, but only asymmetrically. There was no intention to use them operationally as torpedo bombers, but release of the single offset device provided an insight into the possibilities and difficulties for aircraft which carried more than 1 torpedo underwing, released sequentially. Specifications. Data from Les Ailes, August 1921, unless indicated. General characteristics. Crew 5. Capacity 10 passengers. Passengers. Length 18.2 m 59 ft9 in. Upper wingspan 32.0 m 105 ft0 in 0 in 0 in 0 in 0 in 0 in. Lower wingspan 24.0 and 78 ft9 in height 6.0 and 19 ft8 in 8 in wing area 180 m2 1900 sqft aspect ratio 9.1 upper wing 6.9 lower wing lower wing empty weight 4,450 kg 9,811 lb gross weight 7,200 kg 15,873 lb fuel capacity fuel and oil 1,300 kg 2,900 lb useful load 1160 kg 2560 lb power plant 4x Soundson 9Z water-cooled 9-cylinder radial 190 kW 250 HP each. Propellers 2-bladed performance maximum speed 164 km/h 102 mph 89 km at ground level. Cruise speed 130 km/h 81 mph 70 km economic range 1000 km 620 mi 540 nmi service ceiling 3,500 m 11,500 ft